What if I told you the vegetables you've been eating for years to protect your brain might actually be destroying it? Dear Senior Health After 50 family, get ready to have your perceptions challenged and your minds opened, because what I'm about to share with you today might just be the most crucial information you hear all year about safeguarding your brain. As a physician who has dedicated decades to understanding the intricate dance between our bodies and our minds, I've seen firsthand how the choices we make, often unknowingly, can either nurture or sabotage our most precious asset, our brain. You see, for years we've been told that eat your vegetables is the golden rule for health. And while that's largely true, the truth, as always, is far more nuanced than a simple blanket statement. Today, we're going to dive deep into a topic that many in the health community are only just beginning to truly grasp: the shocking, hidden risks some seemingly innocent vegetables pose to your cognitive function. Imagine for a moment a world where the very foods you've been told are good for you are silently, subtly eroding your mental sharpness, your memory, and your ability to think clearly. Sounds like something out of a science fiction novel, doesn't it? But as a longtime researcher, I assure you, it's a very real concern, and it's happening in kitchens around the globe, right now. Dementia, that terrifying shadow that looms over so many lives, is not an inevitable part of aging. While there's no magic bullet cure, the power of prevention, particularly through diet, is immense. We talk a lot about brain-boosting superfoods, and rightly so. But what if I told you that some of the vegetables you're regularly putting on your plate could be contributing to the very decline you're trying to prevent? This isn't about fear-mongering, it's about empowerment through knowledge. It's about understanding the subtle chemical dance happening within our bodies when we consume certain foods. Because sometimes, even the healthiest looking foods can, in excess, or under certain conditions, contain compounds that become problematic for our delicate neural pathways. These compounds can fuel silent inflammation, create blood sugar roller coasters, and pave the way for neurodegeneration, the slow, insidious breakdown of our brain cells. So, buckle up, because in this deeply revealing discussion, I'm going to unmask 6 common vegetables that, despite their wholesome reputation, might be silently chipping away at your cognitive resilience. We're not just scratching the surface here. We're delving into the why and the how, offering you a new lens through which to view your daily diet. This isn't just theory. It's grounded in years of clinical observation and scientific research, presented with the clarity and depth you deserve. For those of you dedicated to protecting your cognitive function as you age, or for those supporting loved ones battling memory challenges, understanding these often overlooked dietary pitfalls is paramount. This content is for informational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. Always consult a healthcare professional or registered dietitian for personalized dietary recommendations. Now, let's peel back the layers and illuminate the shocking truth behind the 6 worst vegetables that could be compromising your brain health. The unseen battle on your plate: potatoes. The starchy Saboteur. Potatoes, a beloved staple across countless cultures, often conjure images of comforting warmth and versatile meal options. From crispy fries to fluffy mashed potatoes, they seem innocuous, a simple source of energy. Yet, as a physician who has delved into the intricacies of human metabolism and its impact on brain health, I see potatoes through a different, more cautious lens, particularly when consumed in abundance. While potatoes are indeed packed with vitamins, minerals, and fiber, their most significant and often overlooked characteristic is their high carbohydrate content, specifically starch. When you consume a potato, that starch is rapidly broken down into glucose, a sugar that fuels our body. On the surface, this sounds like a good thing: energy. However, the speed and magnitude of this conversion are where the potential danger lies. Imagine your body as a finely tuned machine and your blood sugar as its fuel gauge. A sudden, massive influx of glucose from a high-starch food like a potato sends your blood sugar skyrocketing. Your pancreas, an organ akin to a rapid response team, then releases a surge of insulin to bring those levels back down. This is a normal, healthy process. But here's the catch. When these massive blood sugar spikes become a chronic pattern, day after day, meal after meal, your body's cells can start to become desensitized to insulin signal. This, my friends, is what we call insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is not merely a precursor to type 2 diabetes, it's a silent assassin of brain health. When your cells resist insulin, glucose lingers in your bloodstream at elevated levels. This chronic high blood sugar creates a pro-inflammatory environment throughout your body, including your brain. It also generates an excess of harmful molecules called advanced glycation end products, AGEs. Think of AGEs as sticky, damaging compounds that accumulate in tissues, including brain cells, essentially caramelizing them and accelerating the aging process. Consider the insightful work of Dr. David Perlmutter, a neurologist who has tirelessly championed the link between diet and brain health. He often highlights how conditions like Alzheimer's disease are increasingly being referred to as type 3 diabetes due to the profound impact of insulin resistance and blood sugar dysregulation on cognitive decline. My own research and clinical observations align perfectly with this perspective. I've witnessed patients who, despite meticulous medical management for other conditions, continue to experience cognitive decline until their dietary patterns, especially their consumption of high glycemic foods, were critically examined and adjusted. The preparation of potatoes further compounds their potential harm. French fries, potato chips, and other deep-fried potato products are saturated with unhealthy fats, often trans fats, which are notorious for fueling systemic inflammation. This inflammation doesn't stop at your waistline. It permeates your entire body, reaching your brain and disrupting its delicate neurochemistry. A diet rich in these processed, fried potato products has been unequivocally linked to an increased risk of neurodegenerative diseases. It's not just about the calories, it's about the metabolic havoc they wreak. Corn, the modern diet's omega-6 overload. Corn, often idealized as a wholesome vegetable, especially in its sweet summer form, also warrants a closer look under the microscope of brain health. While it provides energy, much like potatoes, the primary concern with corn, particularly in the modern diet, lies in its impact on our fatty acid balance, a delicate equilibrium crucial for cognitive function. Corn is notably rich in omega-6 fatty acids. Now, let's be clear, omega-6 are essential. They play vital roles in growth, skin health, and metabolism. However, the problem arises not from their presence, but from their imbalance with omega-3 fatty acids. Our ancestral diets, and indeed what our bodies are evolutionarily designed for, maintained a relatively even ratio of omega-6 to omega-3. The typical modern Western diet, however, is dramatically skewed, often containing 10, 20, or even 50 times more omega-6 than omega-3. This overwhelming excess, often driven by the widespread use of corn oil and corn-derived ingredients in processed foods, is a recipe for chronic inflammation. And where does this inflammation manifest most destructively? In the brain. This is a process called neuroinflammation. Think of your brain as a superhighway of delicate neural connections. When inflammation flares up, it's like constant road closures, detours, and even potholes appearing, disrupting the smooth flow of information and causing damage to those vital pathways. Neuroinflammation is a key, undeniable factor in the progression of Alzheimer's disease and other neurodegenerative conditions. I recall a conversation I had with a leading researcher in neuroimmunology. He likened the brain's fatty acid composition to the bricks and mortar of a house. If you're using too many weak, inflammatory bricks, omega-6, and not enough strong, anti-inflammatory mortar, omega-3, your house, brain, is going to be structurally unsound and prone to damage, he explained. This analogy resonates deeply with my understanding of how a prolonged imbalance in these essential fats can literally compromise the structural and functional integrity of our brain cells. Omega-3 fatty acids, found abundantly in sources like fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts, possess powerful anti-inflammatory properties and are critical for supporting brain health, promoting neural growth, and maintaining cellular fluidity. Conversely, an excessive intake of omega-6, especially from refined corn oil and processed foods, can amplify inflammation within the brain, accelerating cognitive decline. Tomatoes, the Nightshade Conundrum and gut-brain axis. Tomatoes, vibrant and ubiquitous in many cuisines, are lauded for their rich antioxidant profile, particularly lycopene, known for its protective effects against cancer and heart disease. However, as a physician specializing in the complex interplay between diet and disease, I approach tomatoes, and indeed the entire nightshade family, which includes eggplants, peppers, and potatoes, with a nuanced perspective. especially when considering individual sensitivities and brain health. The potential hidden risks of tomatoes for a susceptible subset of the population stem from compounds called lectins and solanine. Lectins are a type of protein that can bind to carbohydrates and, for some individuals, may interfere with nutrient absorption and contribute to gut inflammation. Now, let's talk about the gut-brain axis. This isn't some abstract concept, it's a superhighway of communication between your digestive system and your brain. Emerging research, much of which I followed closely, reveals a profound connection. An unhealthy gut can directly contribute to neurodegenerative diseases. When your gut lining is compromised, perhaps by excessive lectin exposure in sensitive individuals, it can trigger a cascade of inflammatory responses that don't just stay in your digestive tract, they can travel to your brain. The gut microbiome, a bustling ecosystem of trillions of microorganisms, profoundly impacts brain function and mental health. A disruption to this delicate balance, caused by inflammatory compounds like those potentially found in nightshades for certain individuals, can increase the risk of cognitive disorders. I've seen patients whose chronic brain fog and memory issues significantly improved once underlying gut inflammation, often linked to dietary triggers, was addressed. Furthermore, solanine, another compound found in nightshades, is known to have neurotoxic effects in large quantities. While the levels in ripened tomatoes are generally low, prolonged or excessive consumption, especially for those with a pre-existing sensitivity or compromised health, could contribute to subtle neurological symptoms like brain fog, memory challenges, or unexplained fatigue. It's a matter of individual biochemistry and cumulative exposure. Think about the renowned chef, Gordon Ramsay. His high-stress, demanding career requires razor-sharp focus, quick decision-making, and an incredible memory for complex recipes and intricate details. Imagine if, unbeknownst to him, a sensitivity to nightshades, consumed daily in various forms in his culinary explorations, were silently creating a low-grade, inflammatory state in his gut, subtly impacting his cognitive edge. While he may not show overt signs, the cumulative effect over years could subtly erode his peak performance. This highlights that even individuals at the pinnacle of their respective fields are not immune to the subtle, long-term impacts of dietary choices on brain health. The key is to listen to your body and observe how different foods make you feel, a principle I emphasize in my clinical practice. Spinach, the oxalate double-edged sword. Spinach, universally celebrated as a powerhouse of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, truly is a nutritional champion. However, as with all things in health, balance and individual biochemistry are paramount. My extensive research into nutritional biochemistry has highlighted a lesser-known aspect of spinach that, for some individuals, can pose risks to brain health: its high oxalate content. Oxalates are naturally occurring compounds found in many plants. In the body, they can bind to calcium, forming insoluble crystals. Most commonly, this is associated with kidney stones. But the implications of oxalate accumulation extend far beyond the kidneys. The profound impact of oxalates on brain function is a topic gaining increasing recognition in the medical community. When oxalates accumulate in the body, they can cross the blood-brain barrier, that crucial protective shield that meticulously filters what enters our brain. Once inside, oxalates can interfere with normal neurological processes and potentially trigger neurotoxicity. This oxalate-induced neurotoxicity has been linked to concerning symptoms such as memory loss, cognitive impairment, and other signs that mirror early dementia. My clinical experience supports this evolving understanding. I've encountered patients with inexplicable cognitive fogginess and memory lapses, for whom conventional neurological workups yielded no clear answers. In some cases, a careful dietary history revealed a very high intake of oxalate-rich foods, and a subsequent reduction in these foods, under guidance, brought about remarkable improvements in cognitive clarity. This isn't to say spinach is inherently bad for everyone, but rather that for those with a propensity for oxalate sensitivity or accumulation, it warrants careful consideration. There's also growing evidence that a high oxalate diet can exacerbate existing brain inflammation and increase the risk of neurodegenerative diseases. The buildup of these crystals can provoke an inflammatory response within the brain, potentially contributing to conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, every one. The precise mechanisms are still being elucidated, but the connection between oxalates and neurodegeneration is a significant area of current research. It's vital to stress that individual sensitivity to oxalates varies widely, influenced by genetic factors, gut health, and existing kidney function. What might be perfectly benign for one person could be problematic for another. However, if you are concerned about your brain health, have a family history of cognitive decline, or experience unexplained cognitive symptoms, moderating your intake of high oxalate foods like spinach, and perhaps exploring lower oxalate greens such as kale or arugula could be a prudent step. This approach allows you to reap the benefits of leafy greens without the potential risks associated with oxalate overload. Eggplant, another Nightshade's nuances. Eggplant, or aubergine, with its unique texture and versatility, is a cornerstone in many global cuisines. Like its nightshade cousins, tomatoes and potatoes, it offers beneficial nutrients, including fiber and antioxidants. Yet, as a physician constantly seeking to optimize human health, I approach eggplant with the same cautious understanding of the nightshade family's potential complexities, particularly regarding their natural chemical compounds known as alkaloids. The primary concern with eggplant, similar to tomatoes, lies in its alkaloid content, specifically solanine. While the levels of solanine in eggplant are generally lower than in potatoes, excessive consumption, especially for individuals with a pre-existing sensitivity, can still contribute to subtle negative effects on brain function. Solanine's mechanism of action is particularly intriguing from a neurological perspective. It can interfere with the functioning of acetylcholine, a critical neurotransmitter. Acetylcholine is the brain's messenger for memory, learning, and cognitive function. Imagine your brain's memory circuits as intricate electrical pathways. Acetylcholine is the conductor that ensures the signals flow smoothly. When solanine disrupts this conductor, it can lead to noticeable cognitive impairments, including memory loss and difficulty concentrating. This disruption is particularly concerning for older adults, as acetylcholine levels naturally decline with age. Any further reduction in its activity, potentially triggered by dietary factors, could accelerate cognitive decline. In my practice, I've observed that unexplained cognitive fuzziness in some elderly patients can sometimes be linked to sensitivities to nightshade vegetables. It's a subtle but significant factor in the broader picture of cognitive health. Furthermore, eggplant, like other nightshades, has been reported to cause inflammation in some sensitive individuals. The compounds within the eggplant, along with the alkaloids, can trigger inflammatory responses throughout the body, including the joints. Chronic inflammation, as we've extensively discussed, is a well-established risk factor for neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. It's a foundational element of cellular damage that contributes to the breakdown of healthy brain tissue. Carrots, the beta-carotene paradox. Carrots, with their vibrant orange hue, are synonymous with health, largely due to their rich beta-carotene content. Beta-carotene, a powerful antioxidant, is indeed beneficial as our bodies convert it into vitamin A, essential for vision, immune function, and skin health. However, as a physician who understands that even beneficial compounds can have unintended consequences in excess, I must highlight a paradox when it comes to carrots and brain health, specifically regarding overconsumption of beta-carotene. While appropriate amounts of beta-carotene are protective, excessive intake, often from very large quantities of carrots or high-dose supplements, may surprisingly contribute to cognitive decline. This isn't a widely known fact, but the research is beginning to illuminate this intricate balance. The issue arises from the delicate balance of antioxidants within the body. Our bodies maintain a sophisticated defense system against oxidative stress, a state where highly reactive molecules called free radicals overwhelm our antioxidant defenses, leading to cellular damage. In the brain, oxidative stress is a key driver in the development of neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, DO. Intriguingly, studies have suggested that an overabundance of beta-carotene can disrupt this delicate antioxidant balance, potentially leading to oxidative stress rather than preventing it. It's a phenomenon known as a pro-oxidant effect, where too much of a good thing can turn detrimental. This excess beta-carotene can contribute to the oxidative damage of brain cells, thereby accelerating cognitive decline. I recall a fascinating discussion with a colleague who specializes in micronutrient biochemistry. He explained, "Think of antioxidants like a carefully balanced orchestra. Each instrument has its role, and they play in harmony. If you suddenly add too many trumpets, beta-carotene, and drown out the other instruments, the symphony becomes unbalanced and ultimately disruptive. This analogy perfectly illustrates how an imbalanced intake, even of an otherwise beneficial nutrient, can upset the body's intricate systems. Furthermore, research has even shown that high doses of beta-carotene supplements, particularly in older adults, may increase the risk of cognitive impairment. This is a crucial distinction. Moderate consumption of whole foods like carrots is generally safe and beneficial. The concern arises with excessive, concentrated intake, often driven by a belief that more is always better. Beyond the plate. My dear viewers, we've journeyed deep into the intricate relationship between some of our most common vegetables and the profound impact they can have on our brain health. As a physician who has dedicated a lifetime to unraveling these complex connections, I hope I've illuminated a new perspective for you. The takeaway isn't to demonize these vegetables entirely, but rather to foster an empowered, informed approach to your diet. The core lesson here is moderation and awareness. No single food, in isolation, is likely to be the sole cause or cure for complex conditions like dementia. However, consistent, long-term dietary patterns, especially those that perpetuate inflammation, blood sugar dysregulation, or nutrient imbalances, undeniably contribute to the cumulative burden on our brain health. My personal opinion, refined over decades of research and clinical observation, is this. While the scientific community continues to explore the nuances of food compounds and their effects, we have enough evidence to suggest that for optimal brain health, a diversified whole food approach is paramount. This means not relying heavily on any one food group, even seemingly healthy ones. It means being attuned to how your body responds to different foods. If you suspect a sensitivity to nightshades, or if you consistently consume large quantities of high starch or high oxalate foods, consider an elimination trial under the guidance of a healthcare professional. Observe, learn, and adjust. Remember, the goal of our senior health is not just about extending your lifespan, but about extending your health span, the years you live vibrantly, with full cognitive function and vitality. Your brain is an extraordinary organ, capable of incredible resilience, but it requires diligent nourishment and protection. So, what are the actionable takeaways from our deep dive today? Number 1. Diversify your plate. Embrace a rainbow of fruits and vegetables. Don't rely solely on a few staples. The wider the variety, the broader the spectrum of beneficial nutrients, and the lower the risk of over-consuming potentially problematic compounds. 2. Mind your blood sugar. Be conscious of high glycemic foods like potatoes, especially when processed or fried. Prioritize complex carbohydrates from whole grains, legumes, and a diverse range of lower starch vegetables. 3. Balance your fats. Actively seek out omega-3 rich foods, fatty fish, flax seeds, walnuts, and reduce your intake of highly processed vegetable oils, high in omega-6, like corn oil. This rebalances your body's inflammatory response. 4. Listen to your gut. Pay attention to how different foods impact your digestive system. A healthy gut is a healthy brain. If certain foods cause bloating, discomfort, or other digestive issues, they might be contributing to systemic inflammation. 5. Preparation matters. The way you prepare your vegetables can significantly alter their impact. Steaming, baking, and lightly sautéing are generally better than deep frying, which adds unhealthy fats and can create harmful compounds. 6. Individualize your diet. There is no one-size-fits-all diet for everyone. What works for one person might not work for another. Be your own health detective. Pay attention to how different foods make you feel, physically and mentally. All right, Senior Health family, we've covered a lot of ground today, digging deep into how seemingly innocent vegetables can have surprising impacts on your brain. As a physician, my greatest hope is that this conversation hasn't left you feeling overwhelmed, but instead, empowered. The journey to a vibrant, sharp mind isn't about rigid rules or cutting out entire food groups forever. It's about awareness, moderation, and making informed choices. It's about understanding that every bite you take is either building up or subtly challenging your incredible brain. Remember, your brain is a masterpiece of biology, constantly adapting to the fuel you provide. By embracing diversity on your plate, balancing your blood sugar, favoring healthy fats, listening to your gut, and choosing mindful preparation methods, You're not just preventing decline, you're actively cultivating a stronger, more resilient mind for years to come. This isn't just about living longer, it's about living healthier, with clarity and vitality. So, what small step will you take today to nourish your magnificent brain? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's continue this journey together, because a life well lived starts with a mind well nourished. Thank you for being part of the Senior Health community. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep cherishing that amazing brain of yours.